Yes, sir.
What's up?
Sorry, I assumed your gender. I
Yeah,
assumed,
now you're good,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
I'm not tripping. Yeah, so I was just agreeing with you said socialism is non-American. So what do you think is pro-American?
Well, let's define what socialism is, right? Socialism is the government confiscation of private property. It tends to be the rule of the few, not the many, even though they profess to say it's the rule of the many. But the American, let's just say, economic tradition is private property rights, markets with proper restraint, entrepreneurship, the ability to flourish, trade, create new products. Socialism disincentivizes almost all those things. Socialism is built largely on envy and greed. And hilariously, the people that push for socialism, the rank and file, they don't realize that socialism actually just creates an oligarchy. It doesn't actually create a strong middle class, what they allege, to want.
So do you believe in taxes?
Ideally 10% across the board. Yeah.
Okay, so you believe in the confiscation of people's private property?
At some point it depends on if it's private property income or if it's necessary to fund government services.
But that's still a confiscation with a gun through police if you don't pay.
At around 10% to fund public services,
but you just
the military.
Socialism as taking private
Well, hold on.
property.
The average tax rate in a socialist type environment, and even this country, is what, 55%?
Yeah, but I'm saying taxes in general. That's private property.
So
being taken
taxation
from
is
people who earn
theft.
that money.
I fully acknowledge a moderate form of something I hate in order to fund a government, police, firefighters, EMT as necessary.
But that's still government confiscating
of course
private
it is,
property,
yes.
which you said was socialism.
Yes, but you vote for it and you agree with it. I mean, I'm not an anarchist.
Why do I
never
agree?
have been.
Well, I'm an anarchist. I say any form of government existence is
that's
socialism.
Fine. Have you ever called the cops?
No, I don't believe.
Okay,
I don't
you ever
like
gone to
cops. They don't like me.
Okay, you ever gone to hospital?
No.
Okay, well, one day when you go to hospital or you use the social service you
but I'm
paid
saying
for.
you define socialism as a confiscation of private property, and you're saying that you
Well,
believe
let me
in
go
taxes, which is a confiscation
Okay,
of
let me go
private
further.
wages.
Let me go for the unreasonable confiscation of private property, the elimination of private property altogether. You can have a 10%
Well, that's
tax
communism.
rate.
That's not socialism.
Well, they could be conflated. The one is a gateway drug to the other. I mean,
Okay, but the middle ground
Lenin said
is
that socialism is a precursor to communism.
Okay, but
so.
they're still different. If it's a gateway
They're,
drug,
they're
meth
both
is
they're
not
both
weed.
garden varieties of Marxism. Would you agree? They're
Yeah,
both,
I agree with
okay,
that.
all
But
right.
I'm saying weed is not meth, so let's talk about weed. That's still a confiscation. If you're saying it's a confiscation
No,
of
one
private...
is better, one is worse, and
Okay,
one is
yeah, but if we're talking about socialism,
more lethal.
you defined it at the beginning as the confiscation of private property.
Yes, correct.
It's also collectivized use. Do you believe in public schools?
No, I mean, ideally, I think they should be more community-based and more volunteerism.
Okay, but
to
you
be
believe in
honest,
them in some level, right?
Well, I mean, again, this is overly abstract and academic. We live in a society where we have government schools, we have public schools, so we could talk about what we want
I know,
or
but
what is
if
actually.
we're talking about what is anti-American, what is pro-American, in the existence of what you say is American, would you say public schools are part of being American? Would you say that's
Well,
part
no,
of
they are.
America's
I mean,
identity?
the public school system was started by John Dewey 100 years ago. We survived without it for
like
quite a while.
What was it? During the signing of the Constitution, which the Federalists strongly supported, they were part of federalism was having a strong central
Yes,
government.
but
I would
the
say it sounds like
Federalists
socialism to
today
me.
would be like libertarians.
Okay,
just so
but
we're clear.
that's still a strong.
They wanted a
central
small
government.
but strong
But
federal
strong
government.
central government still sounds like socialism to me.
Hold-
And that's
see, this is very sloppy intellectual thinking. That just because we want a police force, a border patrol, and we want clean streets, all of a sudden we become a socialist.
But those are still social
There is a
services.
spectrum between small and strong government and like Soviet-style communism.
but we're not talking about that. We're talking about socialism.
Right.
And
so
as you define socialism,
not
it's a
every
confiscation
form of
private
government is
property.
socialism. Would you acknowledge that?
No, I don't.
Okay, then.
But you
That-
but you
that's-
define
that-
at the
that's
beginning of this.
intellectually lazy.
No, you defined at the beginning
No,
of this as
I-
social. You
and I've-
offered a definition.
I've
that
offered more
socialism was the
nuance to that.
confiscation
I will
of private
say
property.
it is the unreasonable confiscation of.
But what? How do we
of wealth.
quantify unreason?
That-
what is unreasonable?
That's up to the politics to do. I'd say anything above 10%.
Okay, well, how do you define? So
I
above
said 10%.
10%.
Where I get it from the Bible. Makes sense. 10%
Okay.
of 10% of what you earn, 10% of what you have goes to either to tithe or to God or to some sort of taxation system.
So just based
Again,
on
that's
the
my
Bible,
position. We can
your
disagree
position,
on that.
Okay, so your
But-
position is based only at 10%. At 11%, it's now socialism. It is socialism.
No, I'm not saying it's socialism. It gets close. It gets further away from
Then
what it is.
Where's
I mean,
the line? What is socialism?
What is the taxation line? How about
Yeah,
this?
if you're
Socialism is you cannot own the property that you desire.
But you're
And
talking
we're
about me
getting-
being intellectually
how about
lazy.
this?
I'm saying let's have a
So
stringent
let me
definition
actually
of
give you a
what is
real example.
socialism.
California is more socialist. Texas is less socialist. That's a
Okay.
spectrum.
But I want
Would
to
you
know
agree with
when
that?
does socialism begin and when does it end? And I'm saying
It-
you're
it-
saying
it's-
that
it's-
some level
it's
of
not
socialism
like an entrance
is, but no, but
into
you're saying
Narnia.
if you're
It's like
saying
I'm all of a
socialism
sudden
is
here.
anti-American, I'm saying
It's a
socialism
spectrum.
is a part of America.
Okay, so you
even
want to
if-
know when socialism begins and
Yeah.
when it ends?
Yeah.
When you leave the free state of Florida and
Okay,
you
but
enter the unfree state of
What's
New York,
the tax rate in Florida then?
0.
No,
The income tax in Florida is 0.
You still have to pay taxes, though.
Federal taxes.
You still have to pay federal taxes.
No corporate
But if
income tax, no personal income tax.
But you still have to pay federal taxes. So if you have to pay taxes at all, it sounds like Florida's a socialist state.
So are you trying to say America's currently socialist?
Yes. That's
Okay,
what I'm saying.
I would agree. We're going more in that direction. So,
Okay, but then you were
socialism
saying that it's not. You're
goes
saying Florida's not
socialism
socialist,
is
and now you're
beyond
saying-
taxes, though.
But wait, you just said that America is socialist, but you said Florida's not socialist. So Florida's part of
Well,
America. That doesn't make sense.
Hold
to
on,
me.
but you pay 20% more taxes here in California than you do in Florida. Yes?
Okay, but they're both socialist.
No, but the federal project right now is more socialist than it is free market. Yes.
Okay, yes.
But in Florida, you get at least some gasp of liberty and freedom that you do not have. In California, if you're a top income earner, you're not paying 15% in addition to a 38% federal income tax rate. That's 53%. That is the government owns a majority of your labor.
Yeah.
So to be even more clear, the closer you get towards the government owning a majority of your labor and your goods, the further and further closer you get to socialism. California is that.
Yeah.
Now, I would love for the federal government to get rid of FICA tax, to get rid of, the excess income tax. I've been clear. I think 10% across the board, fine. We need a military. You might not agree. We need a police force. We need a border patrol. We need basic social services that are a safety net, not a hammock. But I do not believe in this over-the-top type taxation. If you want to talk about other types of taxation that everyone here is paying, it's inflation.
But
when you borrow $2 trillion a year, you do not have, you're getting 10% poorer every single year. I'm going to get to the next question because you keep on saying the same thing over and over again. But
I'm just
final
saying,
point.
I don't understand how you can say that socialism is anti-American when even the most pro-American, I think as you would define, would say Florida's pretty pro-American?
Yeah, I mean, they have no income tax.
But the thing is, if they still have taxation,
No, they have
if
they're part of the federal government.
If taxation is part of America, and it always has been,
But no, it
public service
hasn't.
has always been part of
So
America.
since you're such a wise guy, how did we fund the government for the income tax?
Through taxation, but I say that's socialist.
Tariffs. We didn't have an income tax till 1917. So I'm going to get to the next person. You should do more studying on American taxation. And there's a
I think you
spectrum.
should define socialism more
Not every
strongly.
form of government is socialism.